Hi, I'm here today to share a little bit more about the difference between empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Now, I have always thought of myself as someone who is pretty empathetic or who has a lot of compassion because I always felt like I was able to put myself in other people's shoes. And not too long ago, I learned that there was a difference between all these three words and basically how you feel. And this morning during my meditation, this was one of the topics that came up actually. So I do guided meditation with my app. And it was about basically being more compassionate without having the stress that comes with it. So moving from empathy to compassion. And I thought I'll do a little bit of research and share that with you because I think that is maybe something that concerns a lot of women or a lot of people in general, but I'm speaking to you. So I think that perhaps this could help. If you feel like you are someone that kinds of take on the problems of others, or you feel very touched and sometimes other people's troubles or worries or whatever stress you out. So first of all, maybe I'll give you the definitions of the different words. So empathy basically is the identification with or vicarious experiencing of the feeling, thought, or attitude of others. So basically, if someone slams a door in their finger, you immediately feel as if that happened to you, like you have the pain. You actually feel like it happened to you. You feel the pain in your fingers as well. For instance, I just hate needles, and when I watch a movie and someone is using drugs, it's as if I feel the needle going through my skin. So, and I most of the time cover my eyes. I must say it has gotten a lot better now, but that's one way you could see empathy. So another word that they use is the mirror neuron. So it means that when someone experiences something, it mirrors the exact feeling towards you. The second one is sympathy. And basically sympathy is the ability to understand one's feelings. So for instance, something may have happened to someone. You were not there to see it. However, when they're explaining it, you can understand and you can imagine how it must be to feel like that. And that's the sympathy. That is why when someone passes away, you don't send it's not called a compassion card or an empathy card. It's called a sympathy card because you can relate, you can understand by you're sending a message or a card to say, I feel with you, or I understand what you're going through. Now the last one, compassion, is actually bringing empathy and sympathy to the next level. It's the ability to actually understand how someone feels and also go to the next step, which is trying to help and actually doing something about it. But the main difference here really is because empathy is what people tend to feel. People who are very I wouldn't say emotional, but people who tend to feel easily who can put themselves easily in other people's shoes tend to do that a lot. And I feel like people who are like that also attract people who are likely to share their issues with or their problems or whatever they're going through with these people. And it can sometimes make them feel stressed out. And the worst case scenario is that you even start to avoid some people, or you just have panic attacks or whatever, you have sleeping issues or whatever stress things you're going through just because something is happening to other people and it's not really happening to yourself. So that's one way you can find out whether you have more empathy than compassion. But there are ways that you can actually work on that. And one way would be to breathe. And that's how it came into my morning meditation, because it's a breathing exercise I was doing. And the exercise was really about finding out when... There's my son, by the way, who doesn't want to sleep. So when you're feeling... when you're feeling all distressed about someone's emotion that they're sharing with you, what you can do is by breathing, it brings you back to the present moment to realize that it's not all, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Like it's gonna be okay. And I would say that even in situations without other people, let's say something bad happens to you, I wouldn't say that I'm an anxious person. I would just say that I can stress. I can go from 0 to 300 for, just, I wouldn't say just like that, but if something happens and it really stresses me out, all of a sudden I start telling stories in my head and making the situation worse and saying, okay, now that this happens, this is gonna happen, and now that is gonna happen, and then I feel already horrible. And what I've been doing lately is that when I feel that way, I just start to tell myself, as if I'm talking to a child, really, it's going to be fine. Worst case scenario, this and this happens, and you're not gonna die. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just breathe, breathe, breathe. And I do that, like a deep breathing, a couple of times, about 5 to 10 times. And funny enough, at the end, I feel completely calm about the situation, and nothing has really changed but my emotion and how I feel about it. And I know we all know that we always say it's not the situation, but it's how you react to it that is the problem. We know that, but we're not really practicing that, and at least I wasn't. So that's something that has helped me a lot for feelings of stress or when something is going wrong for me. But I've never looked at it as when something is happening to someone else and I feel all worked up. I didn't think that I could apply the same reasoning to that. So that's something that you could do, just breathing. And a second thing would be to feel your body. So basically be aware of where you're feeling discomfort. Like sometimes your stomach might be completely knotted up, or you feel like you're getting hot, you're getting a headache or whatnot. So being conscious of what's happening in your body and being completely present and aware will bring everything to the present moment. And by being mindful, basically, you can do away with the stress. Now, compassion is something that can be learned, and there are 4 steps of compassion, basically. So the first step would be the awareness of suffering. So you are aware that something is going on. Like you're not blind to it. You're not a robot. Like you see it's happening. You're like, okay, I've noticed this. The second step would be sympathetic concern. Like you are moved, like it does something to you. So you've seen that someone was, almost hit by a car. You are startled by it, and you feel like, oh my God, and you wish to relieve pain. So you actually think, I want to help this person. And the fourth step would be the responsiveness or the readiness to help. So you actually do the action towards, helping this person or whatnot. But in these 4 steps, it may look like it's big gestures that you have to do, but actually it can be as simple as compassionate listening, which is, nowadays pretty much a luxury because everybody else is so busy thinking about what they want to say as a response to what someone else is telling them, that no one is really listening to anybody, especially on social media. We're all so busy trying to be right that no one wants to listen to anybody. So the act of just compassionate listening is just, I hear you, listening to people without feeling like you need to come up with an answer. And sometimes that's just really all people need. All people need is that they want to vent. And after venting, they feel completely better. So let's try doing little things such as that. And another way that you can find out if you are being or showing more empathy than compassion in certain situations, because it might be difficult for you to tell, try asking yourself how it affects your overall well-being. So how do you feel when your brother is not doing so good at school or at work, or is having issues with his kids or whatever? When someone tells you about the problems or their issues they're going through in their own lives, how does that affect you? Do you feel stressed by it, or do you feel like you want to help them, but you don't necessarily feel the stress that is on them? Because if you do, then it means you've been showing much more empathy than compassion, and that's something you need to work on. So when these people are telling you their stories or whatnot, or you're around them, try doing the exercises, try breathing, and try and being aware of your body, and go through those 4 steps. And it might take some practicing first with little things, And sometimes it might take a little bit of avoiding these people, but avoidance is never good. So don't do it for too long, I would say. And so, yeah, I hope this was helpful to you. If you haven't yet, subscribed to our channel, please do so. Subscribe to our newsletter as well on ctribeconnect.com, where we share weekly newsletters with tips about health or overall well-being. And yeah, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.